All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Can You Change My Mind, a new weekly show where we debate the hot button topics in New York sports. I am your moderator, the man, the myth, the mayhem, and I am your voice of reason, which means we are in serious, serious trouble. Joining me is Big Smooth, aka Mark, aka the mind you have to change. So, what's going on, Mark?
How we
Jesus.
doing?
How we doing?
Yeah,
Big
man.
news today before we drop the brand new show. Kadarius Toney gets traded. Now, I don't want to go off on a huge tangent here because we do have a show to do. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, when it happened, I was like, man, what a day to start a new show, right? We're going to talk about, obviously Daniel Jones' hot button issue with his contract, but it's surprising, but I'm not upset about it. I think being 6-1 really kind of anything that would be perceived as negative in the past, winning cures all, as we hear, right? So right. I just think in this scenario, I'll go into it more in the debate style, but I think it's a move that you make all day, every day, because even though he's talented, talent only gets you so far, and you get 2 picks for a guy that has played 12 games in the NFL. That's pretty solid return. Some people would have held out for more, but I think Joe Shane is looking at it like, we didn't draft this dude. He has been nothing but an issue since we got here. Sure, he worked hard. I'm not talking about his work ethic. I'm talking just there's no availability. So that's been the biggest thing.
Right. Okay, so we're going to jump right into our main crux of the show. I'm going to quickly explain the rules to everybody. We're going to be using a Lincoln Douglas debate format. And if you don't know what that is, Google it like I had to. So, Smooth and our guest will have timed rounds. I, as moderator, will keep control of the clock, and I will mute your ass if you go over time. Also, if you speak out of turn, I'm going to tell you to shut your goddamn mouth. Now, let's get this rig rolling. Our tonight's topic is very, very simple. Or is it? Do the New York Giants re-sign Daniel Jones? Now, I have a timer for 5 minutes. Smooth has 5 minutes to make his opening arguments before we bring in our special guest. So, Smooth, your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you. The voice, or as I like to call you, the beard of reason, Mr. Sergeant Mayhem. Thank you so much. Yeah, I real quick, I came up with this idea about can you change my mind? Because I was a Daniel Jones hater, card-carrying hater of Daniel Jones. I would bring it out in spaces. I would talk about it on Twitter from the time that this guy has been drafted. I was at a draft party, and I literally just like dropped to my knees and was just like, I envisioned another Duke quarterback coming here the same way we had Dave Brown. If anyone doesn't know, I moved down to North Carolina 13 years ago. I'm very familiar with Duke football and North Carolina football and the ineptitude that is where this guy came from. And also, I just wasn't a believer in a guy that played in the ACC and didn't really play with big time competition. I made jokes earlier in the year that he fits right in with the preseason guys because that's who he played with in college. So I legitimately was not on his side. So when I constructed this thought process, and obviously Mayhem helped along with it, is that I just didn't think that this was the guy. But over these 7 games, I think the totality of which you have to look at it from the perspective of this is like his rookie year with this coach. This is not a 4th-year guy, but he's mature enough to pick up this offense. He's being put in situations where that he's being, put in a situation where he's being a successful quarterback. Like, he's not dropping back 7-step drop looking for a receiver that's, doing a fly route, or everything's quicker. There's a lot of traffic in these receiving patterns. He is using every ability, whether it's play action, and they're putting him in the best position possible. Is Daboll a big part of that? Absolutely. But this kid has been accurate. He has done everything they've asked of him. He is the type of person that you don't have to worry about when it comes to his work ethic, his ability to kind of continue to grow. He's playing an elite level. I think the stat is he started as the 28th QBR in the league to start. In the last 3 games, he's been in the top 5 for each of those. I think it was 28, 22, 23, and now he was second in the league, I think, behind Patrick Mahomes. I think that's pretty damn good. I also don't think that this narrative that you have to go all in and give him that like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen money is where this is. And that doesn't mean that we're not all in on the guy. It just means that his body of work is that of where I think this contract is sufficient. And I'm sure I'll get some pushback on this, but I think if today Joe Shane walks into an office with his agent and Daniel Jones and says, okay, 4 years, $140 million, 100 of that is guaranteed, $35 million a year, escalators as we go up. Who says no? You have a solid quarterback that can run and pass and run your offense. Daboll has solidified him with absolutely nobody that is a relevant receiver. We just traded the only guy who had talent on the team in terms of receiving, right? They're using tight ends called Tanner Hudson and Chris Myrick before Bellinger got hurt. I just don't see where this doesn't get him more leverage, where he doesn't get the contract, even if it's 5 years, what we're looking at. And that is the genesis of my thought process, is that he's proven in this short stint, in this 7 games, that he's the guy going forward for us in the future. That's what I got for you, man.
And that's your argument?
That's my argument so far, yeah.
And you still got 40 seconds.
I got 40 seconds. I don't know if
Are you sure you don't want to add something to that? I mean, I'll take that time. I'll take that time.
You going to take it back from me?
I'll take that back from you if that's your argument. So, without further ado, let's bring in our guest for our inaugural episode. That's such a hard word. I don't know why I wrote it. Co-host of the Breaking Tackles podcast at BT Giants, a.k.a. Antonio. Smooth, can you bring our guest in, please?
Absolutely. Bring him in.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
What's up, brother? How we doing?
Brother, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate this.
Hey, glad to be here, guys. I appreciate the time that you guys, appreciate being on episode 1, man. So that's a big deal. I mean, I'm glad you guys chose me to help out in the show and to debate this topic. It's a good topic. It's the best topic. It's the only thing people are talking on Twitter right now about.
Aside from Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
However, back to topic at hand. So, Antonio, you now have 2 minutes to cross-examine Smooth before you make your opening statement. So, I'm going to start the clock. Your 2 minutes starts now.
So, Smooth, the only question that I would ask you is, you just finished saying before you even started your debate, your point on Daniel Jones was you were talking about Toney and you were talking about the best ability is availability, correct?
Yep.
Daniel Jones has never played more than 14 games in a season. Why are you going to give him a contract now, week 7, when you don't know if he's going to be out for another 5, 6, 7 games in 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks from now?
Yeah, I think that's a great. Oh, do you want me to answer that, or do you want me to?
This is part of the cross-examination.
No, I think it's a great question, and I think that's where I think some of this is where you could potentially change my mind. The whole point of the debate, right, is that I am so open on this topic because, like I said, I was so starkly against him being our quarterback, and now I'm kind of like, holy shit, this dude is legit. And I also think like you have to look at it from the perspective of you can't predict the future, and injuries happen in every single game in the NFL. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're Giants fans. it feels like we have major injury concerns
injuries
every single game, right? So I think this one is more of a leap of faith, man. You look at this guy where he's being put in positions where he's not like. I go back to Jason Garrett when we had him as our offensive coordinator under Judge. I remember the Cowboy game, right? That rollout where he was trying to do something similar to, what he's been doing in this offense. And what ended up happening? They didn't do enough to set that up where they put him in a bad position, and he got concussed and he was out for multiple games. I feel like that can happen, but I feel like great example is the Jaguars game where in the fourth quarter where that bootleg happened where he was wide open. Because they set that up with the run. And I don't think that the offense has done enough in the past to protect him going forward. That's why.
All right. And that's time. All right. Antonio, you have now 6 minutes because you get more time than he does because everyone's tired of hearing smooth talk.
I will use the 6 for sure.
You get 6 minutes for your opening argument. And your time starts now. So,
again, I want to thank you guys for even giving me this opportunity to come in, man. This is fun. This is definitely something different. I haven't seen this done in a Giants fan base. I'll say this. When Smooth approached me, he said, "Hey, how do you feel about Daniel Jones in terms of getting him a contract?" I said, "Hey, listen, he can win me over this season. He's had 4 games so far that he's looked really good. If he could keep this up, I'm definitely interested in giving him a contract. Even though I have killed Daniel Jones in the past, like Smooth said, he's done himself. But to me, and the argument that he brought me in was, do I give him a contract week 7? To me, it does not make sense. It only makes sense if it's a fan GM who's currently running Madden right now to give him a contract at this moment. This is and you can't have faith. I feel like faith is how you are in this position with this franchise that we go 10 years and not being successful with this team. We, at the end of the day, we have to see what Daniel Jones could do for the rest of the season, including playoffs. And then what we also have to understand is, how do the coaches feel about what's going on? Just think about the last 2 games that Daniel Jones has had, right? He threw that interception, which didn't count because at the end of the day, they called roughing the passer. After he threw that interception, what happened after? What was the result of all the other plays after that drive? It was just run, touchdown, right? I think he threw it 1 time after that in the fourth quarter. Before that, the game before that against the Ravens, he threw an interception, which you can't really. At the end of the day, they were holding Darius Slayton, and it was a pass interference. But what happened after that? Run. So my question is now, again, and to me, honestly, I don't really care about Daniel Jones' stats in terms of touchdowns, scored, running, or passing. If Daniel Jones is getting me 24 to 27 points per game as a team, he's the one that's driving the ball down there, I'm okay with him. Again, I would want him to stay. Because at the end of the day, even probably with Eli Manning, we weren't doing that. And Eli had a ton of interceptions. What I'm just simply saying is this. You got to see him play out this entire season. And can he keep this pace? Because nothing has shown us that he keep this pace. This season alone for Daniel Jones is something that we've never seen before. And can the coaching staff, we know where this coaching staff is coming from. It comes from Josh Allen, right? The offensive coordinator. They've seen Mahomes, not the offensive coordinator, the head coach. Mahomes, offensive coordinator. Lamar Jackson, defensive coordinator. All of our top coordinators and head coach have seen what an elite quarterback looks like. That's where they come from. The question is now, are they looking at Jones and saying, yeah, now this guy, we can win a Super Bowl with this guy? Because our DC has won a Super Bowl with his quarterback. Our OC has won a Super Bowl with his quarterback, even though he wasn't OC. And our head coach has been as close as possible to win a Super Bowl with that quarterback. Can they do that with Daniel Jones? Or can they just say, yo, we can bring anyone in here and run this exact same offense that we're running right now because we're not throwing it that much. We could bring a running back to play this. Kadarius Toney could run this offense right now with the amount of throws that we're doing. Like that's how I see it, honestly. And $35 million a year for Jones next year. I'm assuming you're going to tag Saquon Barkley, so you're going to give him $12 million probably a year, right? You're going to cut Kenny, you're going to cut Leonard, and that's going to leave you with about $50 million for the season, when you still only have 40 dudes on the contract. You still got to sign your free agency class, and you got to bring big money free agents, right? Because once you decided this is going to be Jones is my guy, I'm re-signing him, you're going to have to bring him the big wide receivers, right? So you're going to have to pay those guys too. At that point, we only have $50 million left. How much can we really bring in to start to develop Jones? Or we could bring in a new quarterback that's going to be dirt cheap off of rookie contract, and we could start building the team around that guy. That's all I got right now.
You still got like a minute 15. Are you sure that's all you got? Because I'll take that time.
That's all I need.
I'll take that time.
That's all I need. Take it. It's yours.
That time is mine. All righty. Smooth.
Yeah.
You've got. Let me do my thing, man. Don't jump all over
me.
How many minutes you got?
You got 2 minutes for cross-examination.
Sure.
2 minutes starts now.
So I'm just going to hit on a couple points. Because I saw a bunch of this on Twitter too about, first off, take the interception stuff. It's like, if it doesn't count, does it happen? Did it really happen?
At all.
Right. So that's here nor there. Also, like the idea that we didn't throw the ball once in the fourth quarter, or only one time in the fourth quarter. It's like Dan Orlovsky, who is not a fan of Giants Twitter at the moment, did a great breakdown of 8 straight plays against the Jaguars, all power runs to the right side, and that bootleg was a part of them. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. Like, there's no need to throw
100%.
Like, so that's another thing. So like, it has nothing to do, I think, with trust with Daniel Jones. It's like why would it matter? Like, when Eli Manning was at the height of his powers, he had 2,000-yard rushers. Like, great. Let's go. Give me Derek Ward and give me Brandon Jacobs all over again. If we got, but this time it's Daniel Jones as the other kind of running back and Saquon, right? So, but you have that.
Eli never had a Saquon, right?
And Eli never was a multi or a dual threat quarterback. So I mean,
Eli never had a Saquon, and his first Super Bowl, he never had a big wide receiver name.
His first Super Bowl, Plexico Burress wasn't
he's not 07. He's Amani Toomer, right?
And Plexico Burress caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl
for 07.
Yes,
it wasn't in 2011.
No, that's 2007 is the 18-0 Patriots season where we won on a fade. It was a cover 0 where Plexico kind of does a cut in and then goes out and he's wide open.
That was the second Super Bowl. Okay, so
no, that's the first one.
Okay, what was his wide receiver core in that second Super Bowl? If remind
Victor
me.
Cruz, Hakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham. I got a ball signed by Mario Manningham over in this corner.
And that's time.
None of those guys are superstar wide receivers, in your opinion, correct?
Victor Cruz?
I don't think Victor Cruz is a superstar wide receiver at all. I thought he had a good season. I thought he had a great season that season.
He had 2 phenomenal seasons.
All right, gentlemen, that's time. And I'm fact checking the helmet. Oh, Plexico Burress was the helmet catch after. So he caught the touchdown after Tyree's helmet catch in 07.
Okay, so he was in that team. Okay.
And Manningham caught the deep ball
in 11.
In 11.
Got it.
Okay. So, Smooth.
Yes, sir.
You now have 3 minutes for your full rebuttal for Antonio's opening statement. And your time starts now.
Sorry, I jumped the gun there again. Pilot episode. Apologize. I will say this.
Out.
Yep. I will say this. I think what bothers me about kind of being not necessarily Antonio's opinion, but kind of like more so in general about the whole Daniel Jones debate is it would be really easy if they just got rid of him. And what I mean by that is like all of this bullshit would stop. Like all of the conversations, all the spaces, all of the Is he elite? Is he just a game manager? All of every single narrative. Does he need everything to be perfect? Like, we could break down every single one of those. He obviously doesn't need everything to be perfect because he has guys that look like me playing receiver. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like,
I agree.
So he doesn't need everything to be perfect. That's one. He clearly needed better coaching. That's two. He needed, max protect on most second downs until we get, the ability to spread things out. Like, that's where we leave in tight ends now. Like, there is zero thought that this guy wasn't a good thrower of the ball. It was always decision making, right?
He was right.
And so now he's in a situation where he has a coach that believes in him. He has a team, whether they're good receivers or not, and tight ends that believe in him. He's got Saquon running like a fucking bat out of hell. That dude is playing for another contract and to show people that he is not a bust, right? And so he is riding this wave, and I don't think it stops where we don't offer him a contract. I personally don't think it's going to happen in the middle of the season because that's just not how the Giants do things.
That's the argument, though. But
if it was up to me, this is up to me, right? This is my argument. This is the fantasy of, like, if I'm running the team, I am likely going to give him a contract, and I'm going to stick with that because it's not even for me. That's
not a smart decision if you're a GM.
And you know what? There are a lot of GMs who are stupid who are still employed.
Fired. Right.
No, but there are some that are still employed. Like, so, I mean, like, I think it's one of these things where I'm looking at this approach. If you follow baseball at all in New York sports, one of the things that I think Yankees do the biggest issue with is they pay for guys off of a contract and they bring them in too late, and it's already too late. They don't do what the Tampa Bay Rays do or these other guys who they sign these guys for 10 years who are in their 20s for like $300 million on the return that these guys are going to be great players. I think an analytical approach is that if we do this, and maybe I heard Scott Pioli say this, he's a smart guy. They all get into a room and say, listen, I know my first 3 years have been shitty, but these last year and a half, I can meet you somewhere and we can work this contract situation out. That's what I think is truly going to happen.
So Smooth.
And that's time, Smooth. That's time.
So just my question to you is, I think you could the same contract that you mentioned, which is, I think it's a good contract. Yeah. You could offer that contract at the end of the season. You don't have to offer that contract now. Well, he's still in the contract for you.
Well, see, here's the thing, Antonio. Now is time for your rebuttal, which is where that statement belongs. You have 4 minutes, and your time for rebuttal starts now.
So Smooth, answer that question. Why do you want to do it week 7? Why don't we just play it out? There's nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for that. I think the reason why we do it now is because, and this is honestly, man, because we're on Twitter and we're on all these content creation situations on different podcasts and different things. I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired of all the talk. Show me, give this guy. I feel like if you put this contract in this dude's hand and he signs it, then he knows he's not playing for his life anymore, and he can start slinging it a little more. Like, there's no kind of holding back on certain things. I've heard people say, "Oh, my man can't throw a fade," and then he throws a fade and Darius Slayton drops the ball. Oh, he can't throw a back shoulder throw. Same thing. I throw a back shoulder throw, my receivers don't catch. Oh, he can't throw touchdowns in the red zone. He throws a perfect ball to Marcus Johnson, and the guy can't catch the ball at the 1 yard line.
You're eating up all Antonio's time.
No, you gotta clearly the contract talk, though, it's only hurting us fans. It's not hurting him because he's playing his best ball.
True.
I think that's the problem. Now you're mixing fanship with like athletes and sports. They don't. The best, even if he does care, the best athletes don't care what Twitter's saying or what the fan base is saying. You know what I'm saying? They're just going out there and play. And even so, I don't think that his contract is bothering him. I think it's bothering us. And I agree with you. I think that I personally want the discussion to end. And again, 4 games so far, he's played his best ball. Let's let him play more games and let's see if we can get him. It's just going up. It's just going up. So it's just, I understand your argument, but I think it's coming from a fan. It's fan type of argument. It's not what realistically a GM or even a team or even Jones himself. Because if Jones was really worried about his contract, he would have been crumbled already. But now we actually see him go up. We actually see him having his best season. And usually, football players and sports in general, when they're in contract year, that's when they're busting their ass. So
that's true.
They know what they're doing in that aspect. And in terms of the baseball, which you mentioned, 1,000% true. Yankees should have signed Judge 3 years ago, 4 years ago, not wait till now. But their contracts are guaranteed no matter what, and it's very different over there. With football, tomorrow this player might not be here. Like, he might be out for the season tomorrow. There's no way I can guarantee money on somebody when I don't need to give him the money. Because if that was the case, we would have been extending Andrew Thomas right now for sure. Andrew Thomas is our best player and probably the best tackle in the football. But we're not gonna shoot ourselves in the foot because you extend people, you're gonna have to pay them big money, and then you're not gonna have the ability to build a roster. You got to take advantage of small rookie contracts.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think a part of the comment about like the analytical approach is, listen, every quarterback contracts are different than almost every other position in football. It's not a wide receiver. It's not a running back. You can't do a Saquon contract the way you're going to do a Daniel Jones contract. Like they asked Daniel Jones, they ask every quarterback in the league to do a lot of things that other players don't have to do. Like, you're basically the CEO of this team. Like, you have the ability to kind of affect everything that goes on at the line of scrimmage. So
if they want him, I would want them to sign him for 6 years, not 4, because I want that first 2 years to be baby salary, so that way we can build the team around him.
I think that there's credence to that. Like, so I think that I think what we're finding out in this debate is that there's middle ground here. There's not
There is no middle ground because your time is up.
How dare you?
I'm running the show here, and I tell you right, time is up. All right, so we have one final rebuttal, and that's me. And I have 2 minutes. So I'm going to tell you both what's going to happen, okay? Because you both bring up some really good points. Number one, Antonio, when you said Daniel Jones has never made it through a season playing every game that season because of injury, you're 100% right. And that needs to factor in any kind of long-term deal for Daniel Jones. 100%. The guy cannot stay healthy, all right? He's not injury prone, but he does get injured. And when he does get injured, he ends up missing multiple games, okay? 2 to 4 a year at minimum, okay? So and right now, we're in that, like, we're not even close to that spot where he starts missing games. Let's see what happens week 10, right? Week 11, week 12.
Imagine Daniel Jones is not here for the playoff.
Yeah. What if we wind up in the playoffs and we're starting
Tyrod Taylor? You can never bring him back.
Nope. That's it. That is it. That's the nail in the coffin. Okay. If he can make it through this season without missing a game, you bring him back on a short-term team-friendly deal. Okay. Forget about the quarterback market, right? They reset the quarterback market every year. Every year someone is the highest paid quarterback, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to give him like a Ryan Tannehill style. Give me 2 years, maybe a third, which the third being a void year, and you're looking at roughly $20 million a year, less than this franchise tag, less than that.
Can't Sarge. If Daniel Jones keeps playing the way he's playing, you can't give him $20 million.
So I'm just looking at Sergeant going, timer.
And gentlemen, that's time. So, Smooth, did Antonio change your mind?
Man, I feel like kind of going back and even before this debate, I've been going back and forth on it. And I really do feel like my mind is not 100% changed. Okay. But and this is where I want to do a show like this where it's kind of ambiguous. I don't like the first takes and the bullshit where it's like, I'm right, I win a point, blah, blah, blah. No, I think that Antonio has made some really great points. And I think what you said, Sarge, to kind of reiterate, the injury thing is not something that, like prisoner of the moment. He's playing well right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's an argument.
It's all recency bias.
Yes, and I think the
you have to
recency
look
bias
at it in the big picture standpoint.
Sure. And so my final answer,
right.
My final answer to that is my mind isn't changed, but I don't think, Sarge or Antonio, we're going to be able to get a team friendly deal. I think you're going to get. I think you're going to get if
minimum 25, right?
If I hedge and say, okay, Antonio did change my mind, and I want to wait to the end of the year. Let's just say I say that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There is absolutely no way that he is taking $25 million a year. I don't think so. Nope. I think it's got to start around 30 because that's just a quarterback. I mean, because
or guaranteed money.
So so here's my question, Smooth. When you say that, is who's breaking the bank for Daniel Jones?
A lot of teams. There's going to be 1/3 of the NFL that's going to want him.
Yes, and I'm going to say
this. The way he's playing.
Quarterback play in the NFL is not good enough where you can look around the league and tell me that a team doesn't want a guy who could potentially be coming off
Tampa,
of a
Panthers, Washington. There's many teams that need a quarterback.
I heard a Spaces today, and I was gonna make this point, and I was just like, well, now I'll let them do it. The Carolina Panthers are in Charlotte. That's where Daniel Jones is from. They have a multi-billion-dollar owner.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give a shit to send picks for Cam Newton, then Baker, then Sam Darnold. He could 100% overpay for a Daniel Jones to bring him home to feel comfortable and hire an offensive coordinator. Maybe bring in David Cutcliffe, his former coach at Duke. Why not?
Bring Kafka as your head coach.
Exactly. And then Cutcliffe's the offensive coordinator. I mean, could you talk about a more perfect situation than Daniel Jones?
All right, we're getting into a situation where the wheels are falling off.
What?
No. This is not crazy talk right now. I think this is very logical.
We're talking. He's talking crazy.
And let me just tell you another thing to that also. So the question was, Smooth, would you now still give him a contract though week 7? I think we're both in the same page. If Daniel Jones continues the way he's going at the end of the season, he's healthy. I'm with you, bro. He's changed my opinion. I think we should sign him. Where I'm asking you is, are you still giving him the contract week 7? And let me warn you, the answer is not yes. It can't be.
Well, it can be, but I also don't.
But I think you fired as a GM if you're playing week 1 in that playoff game and he's not there.
Let me talk to you real quick. If Dave Gettleman can stay on a job for 4 years, me making this decision ain't gonna get me fired. So let's just be real.
All right.
Because
so that's the question, Smooth. Yes or no? Contract week 7.
Yes.
Yes.
No. Wait. Time out. No. I was gonna say yes. Antonio changed my mind. I would 100%.
Well, we did it.
Yes,
we did it.
I would 100%.
We
changed my mind.
Gotten through that thick skull, Antonio. So right now it's Smooth 0.
And it's opening 1. Show. Hey, I'm like Eli Manning going into Dallas. And
I love it.
The house that Antonio built, the house that Breaking Tackles.
Hey, listen,
built, baby. Let me sign it.
Listen, here's what I'll tell all of Twitter, because hopefully we get a lot of people to watch this eventually. It's okay to be wrong.
No, 100%.
It is okay to be
right
wrong.
Now on Twitter.
You're wrong about that.
Hey,
yes,
I want to be absolutely wrong about Jones because at the end of the day, my team is 6-1. Our team is 6-1, and I'm enjoying this season. There's no way that I'm like, oh my God, Jones is doing great. I'm not that guy. Like, all I wanted out of Jones, I used to say this at the beginning. Every time I would break down a season, I want to see him scramble more. I want to see him call audibles, call his own protections. I want to see him be more decisive. He's, at least in the last 4 games, he's doing everything that I ever wanted out of him. Why do I need somebody else? I don't.
For sure.
Again, all of our Super Bowls have come with not the best quarterbacks in the league. Eli Manning was never the best at any point, especially during his Super Bowl years. And Phil Simms was never the best. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't need the best.
It's the giant way.
Haven't won.
It's the giant way to get the best out of quarterback.
If the Ravens won with Trent Dilfer, if the Ravens won with Joe Flacco, if there's been teams that won with mediocre quarterbacks at the helm, we could definitely win with this guy who's playing above average. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, he's playing just as good as Jalen Hurts right now.
100%. I agree with that. So, listen, Antonio, really appreciate you coming on, man.
Guys,
Antonio, thank you so much. Remember, everybody, check out Antonio and the Breaking Tackles podcast. And we're not going to talk about how good Hendon Hooker would look in Giants blue.
Ooh.
Everybody, that's the show for tonight. Good night and go Big Blue.